Hey YouTube, it's Team Rocket. Got another deck profile here for you. This one is going to be a hero deck. This is kind of, after seeing Justin Duren and Joe Giordano do so well, I think they both got top 4 in the last 2 YCS. I think that looking at their decks, I see some room for improvement, and I think that these changes might be what heroes need to push them over the top. I think these guys have made some changes that they would. Their decks would have been greatly improved, and maybe they would have had a better chance to make it to that top, the finals, or past that top 4 matchup. So here's the deck. I'll explain some of the differences as I go along the way. Stratos, and then the 3 alias. That's pretty standard. Nothing changed there. Here's one change. The 4th Gemini so you justify running 3 Gemini Sparks. I think Evocator is a way better choice than Crusader. Crusader is the light spellcaster. I would understand running the light if you were playing Honest. I believe Joe was not running Honest and ran Crusader anyway, which to me is an odd choice because if you're going to make Shining, you already have the lights to make Shining, but you don't have any fires to make Nova Master. I think Nova Master is a really underrated card. Also, this gives you more targets for reinforcement of the army. I believe Justin and Joe both ran into situations where they did not have another warrior. Their hands were getting clogged with E-calls and rotas, and they didn't have another target for them because they had, they already drew Stratos and got an alias, and they draw all the E-calls and rotas. Well, this gives you another monster at least. Maybe you can just, if you have to, you can set it for turn or whatever. But that rota can get you something else useful later in the game. So that's why I like the Evocator over the Crusader. The 2 Thunder King, it's pretty standard. I think it's good. 3 is just too many. You start getting clogged with them, and you want to try to use your dualities and E-calls and stuff. And if this deck's working right, these are going to be on the field, and you're going to be able to protect them. Chances are you're winning anyway, but sometimes it's nice to be able to use the E-calls and rotas and do some extra damage, so maybe not drawing these as often. So 2 works just fine. 1 Barbaros. Only playing 1 because I'd rather use my normal summons on the Geminis. Also, you don't want to be too reliant on your skill drain. And I don't play Chalice, so you don't have those fun plays too. But a 1 is good, and it does serve as a beater. I actually tributed for this at locals. I wouldn't suggest doing that in a big tournament, but that was kind of funny. And then last one, 1 Snowman Eater. The reason Snowman is in here is because Absolute Zero is a really good card. And I understand that it conflicts with skill drains. But going forward, I think that we need to start to expect a mirror match. And you can just sit on the skill drain for a turn while they run their alias or something into this. And damage step, they can't do anything. They're just going to lose their monster, and you get to keep yours. So I think look out for that mirror match. This is definitely a huge help. And can also serve as a absolute zero target. And even with skill drain on the field, it's still going to block those 1900 attacks. Basically serves as a Spirit Reaper. So the 1 of also is good in Dino Rabbit matchup, things like that. So I think the 1 of there is going to be useful. This is probably where it's going to be pretty much the same as Joe and Justin's decks. 3 dualities, 2 E's, and a rota. Like I said, this becomes more consistent when you put the Evocator in there. You have that extra target. If you count Stratos, or you take a Stratos out, you basically have 4 targets for these 3 cards, the Alias and the Evocator. Often I will just go straight for the Alias instead of trying to stop at Stratos along the way, because you need to make your Gemini Sparks live as early as possible, and you don't want to get Veilered. If you have a handful of Hero Blasts and Gemini Sparks and your Stratos gets Veilered, you just lost. So you got to watch out for that. So sometimes going for that Alias is the right call early in the game. Then you have the 3 Sparks with the 4 targets, makes this a little more consistent. With E-calls and rotas, you basically run 7 Gemini, so those help, especially with the Hero Blasts. And these put your opponent in a really bad spot because you can summon that Gemini, and even if you don't have a Gemini Spark, they think you have one, so they're going to warning the Gemini, and then you can follow it up with one of the 3 Miracle Fusion, which just it leaves them totally defenseless. They took 2,000 damage, and all they did was fuel your engine. So that's a really filthy play. I love doing that. And then the one-ofs, Book of Moon, Dark Hole, Reborn. Not a big fan of the Book of Moon, but it is chainable. Breaks up Inzektor plays, wind up stuff. Just in case you get that person who is maining a decree or whatever, or drops a Barkion or something on you, you need that extra out. Sometimes it helps. I don't know. You can flip your Barbaros face down, I guess, flip back up, get 3,000 in there. But yeah, if I had a better alternative, I'd use it instead of Book. And for the traps, you have Mirror Force, Solemn Judgment. Those are the one-ofs. There's two of everything else. Joe really emphasized this, that it's just consistency. This deck, you need to have your outs. You don't want to have three of anything because it can get cloggy, but two of everything works. So you have the Warnings, Torrentials, Bottomless, Deep Prison, Hero Blast, Skill Drain, and Starlight Roads. I left out the Dark Bribes because I think that you can just, if you're afraid of the back row, just save the Miracle Fusions and try to bait stuff out with your Gemini. A lot of times you can get those, get people to play the Deep Prisons or things if they think that you don't have a Spark or whatever. You can just bait stuff out with the Gemini as opposed to going with Bribe. I don't think taking the minus is something a deck like this wants to do. And Starlight Road, against Inzectors, this happened to me the other day. I had a Starlight Road and a Skill Drain on the field. And they tried to Heavy Storm to get rid of the Skill Drain, obviously, because Inzectors are ruined by Skill Drain. And I activated the Starlight Road. And he basically just lost from there, because now that Skill Drain is basically permanent, because I can negate the next MST that he draws. And, unless he's playing 3 MST and draws them like in back-to-back-to-back turns or whatever, that Stardust got in there and did some serious work. So, while it might not be as useful as Bribe is in as many situations, it wins games. And that's what you're trying to do in this game, is just win games. So, there's the main deck. Just 40 cards. You don't want to play any more than that. Just once again for consistency issues. Now for the extra deck, we have the one Utopia with the Utopia Ray. Uses more often than not just to protect your Utopia from killing itself. But maybe you can get that extra effect off. I don't think you're ever gonna have less than 2,000 attack. People make too many big pushes in this game to leave you with just that much left. You're usually just dead if you're below 4,000. Speaking of big pushes, Blade Armor Ninja gets in there and does work when you don't have Skill Drain on the field. And then the new member of the team, Maestro, the Symphony Djinn. This is really good. It's basically our version of Gachi Gachi. You can just, if you need to stall for a turn or something, drop this. Or if they have, a Cataster or something like that on the field, this deck has trouble with those. So you can just, book their monster, run it over. That helps. It's unfortunately only has 1,800 attack. I think Grappa has 1,800 defense, so that doesn't really help in that situation. But maybe you can use it to book their Grappa and then run it over with something else if you have that many monsters in the field. I don't know. But it's just a cool little toolbox to have the extra go-to. Also, the stall helps. So that's for the Exceeds. You have the 2 Stardust for the Roads. And then you have random Super Poly target. I guess you side deck the Super Polys, so that's in there just because it's either going to be this or Chimera Check mained. It doesn't really matter which. You're not going to use them game 1. And then for the fusions, you have the 2 Nova Master. Again, for the side deck Super Polys, and you main deck the Evocator. And if you make one of these and it gets destroyed, you have another fire target to make the second one. So 2 is good. Same goes for the Absolute Zeros. Once you make one, you can make a second one using the first. And the Snowman Eater. So there's those. 2 Shining. The deck has 5 lights. So even though you run 3 Miracle Fusions, you won't always have the extra light to make Shining. But 2 gets the job done. And you could always remove 1 to use the other one. And then you can put it back to your extra deck. So you kind of have 3. You make that work there. And then the other 2. You have the Barbaros and the Stratos to make these in a pinch. This guy's huge under Skill Drain. Absolutely huge. So even though you don't get his effect, the 28 gets in there and does work. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I did really well at locals yesterday. Did not lose with this deck. Recently made a few changes. Mostly the Maestro I didn't have before the tournament started. I'm excited to try this out. I'll probably be doing a card review on this. Let you guys know how it actually works in real testing in tournaments. I will put that up here when I have a little more information on the card and how it plays. That's it. Let me know what you guys think of my changes to the hero deck. Might be taking this to a large event here coming up. I will let you guys know if we end up doing something like that. So yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe, please. Thank you.